Howdy, howdy, howdy. My name's Eric.
This is Berto.
And this is Totally Biased. This week, Would You Rather? Berto is unaware of what this Would You Rather is going to be. So,
I decline.
This week,
Incorrect.
Would you rather start with a Would You Rather or just jump right into the into last week's games?
This is a stupid question. I decline to answer.
All right. So, last week, biggest games, our biggest game, I suppose, in terms of the college football playoff. LSU, Florida. It was a game that,
Bro, I told you you had to play the games. You were talking shit that these games didn't matter. We straight up, you didn't even put in our getting ready for this, you didn't even put a little outline for this game because you were like, fuck that game. And I literally was like, put the game on there, put the Alabama game. Alabama game was trash though. But
yeah. I guess I was really right on one and wrong on the other one.
But that's why you play the fucking games.
Alabama won by 43?
I think it was 52-3. They won by 49. That's a lot.
And then Florida loses by 3.
Loses by 3.
So, hey, But yeah, essentially knocking Florida out of college football playoff contention. I mean, is that where...
See, that's what I thought until an hour and a half ago, whatever, when the rankings came out. They're only 7.
Yeah, they only dropped one spot.
They dropped one spot. I don't think they have a path, really, because if they did win, Alabama's still going to get in. If there is an open spot, I don't know how you would put in a 2-loss conference champion over like A&M or a 2-loss Iowa State.
They'd have the best win, though.
Huh?
They'd have the best win.
Florida?
Yeah,
they'd have to win over Alabama. But I don't know if there's a path, really. Do you think there's a path for them? I think there's more of a path, or they left it more open because they left them 7 instead of 9 or 10.
It's extremely murky.
But 7, I feel like this point, it's just, like we've said, I think Georgia, where they've been, is just like a placeholder. Like, Georgia being 10 or 9 or 8, whatever they are, every week, doesn't prove anything because it's never going to move into a playoff spot. And so I think they just had to put Florida somewhere, and they don't really have a chance to get in. They just have to, place them somewhere.
So I guess the path that I would foresee is, obviously, they beat Bama.
Yeah.
Notre Dame beats Clemson. Ohio State were to lose to Northwestern.
Okay.
And Iowa State were to lose to Oklahoma. And A&M were to lose to Tennessee. I think that's a pretty clear path for them.
What about Clemson? Is Clemson still above them or not?
I think in that case, in that case, they'd have a better win than Clemson, would be what people would start talking about. They'd both be two-loss teams.
Yeah, but the losses would be, for Clemson, twice against the number 2 Notre Dame, and for Florida, once against us, and then once against a shitty LSU team.
Yeah, but then I guess it's how much do you look at wins versus how much do you look at losses.
Fair.
In that situation, What
about Cincy then there? Well, Cincy's below them.
I don't know. I just think that's what the path is, right?
Okay.
I mean, if you look at it, I don't know if the door is completely shut.
That would be so much chaos, though.
Yeah, essentially. But when we say is there a path, we're saying is it numerically possible? And obviously this isn't a numeric thing, but
yeah, but they have a percentage. Yeah, that's
there is a way, and it's basically everyone losing. But if we're talking about,
but at that point, you're getting into 1 and 2 would be set, 3 would be lower, 4 would be out. You'd be talking about Ohio State, between Ohio State, Clemson, Florida, a 2-loss A&M, a 2-loss Iowa State. At that point, you might put in Georgia at that point.
Well,
fuck it. You might be Georgia's better than all these teams. Throw them at 4.
As you well know, no SEC champion has ever been left out of the college football playoff.
I know. I'm just saying, you're getting into hella chaos, where you might just throw in whoever at that point.
But I think at the end of the day, to your point, I do think there is a path. Do I think it's likely? No, because most of the things in front of them are also very unlikely, and all those things have to happen. If any one of those other dominoes don't fall, I think they don't have, if A&M were to beat Tennessee, it's done, and Ohio State has to lose to Northwestern.
Yeah.
And so a lot of dominoes have to fall, and they have to beat Alabama, which is a tall task. So I don't think they're completely out. But it's effectively out of the running.
As you said, you got to play the games.
They no longer control their own destiny.
Well, no, obviously.
So
That's what we just said. There had to be a shit ton of chaos.
yes, and yeah, oopsies on my part for saying this game could be overlooked essentially. But the point that this game brings up, right? So the narrative that this game brought on, and it's almost more important at this point than the actual game itself, is how many playing all of the games, right? So
Yeah.
if this game had been canceled for COVID reasons, right, and they don't end up playing this game,
Yeah.
Florida goes into the SEC championship game with only one loss, right?
Yep.
They're coming in 8-1. They're going to play Alabama, but they do play this game, and they play it against an LSU team that's not very good, a 3-5 LSU team at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Fully expected that to be a blowout win for Florida. Doesn't end up happening that way.
Mm-hmm.
You can quickly shift that same view onto an Ohio State or fucking USC.
Yep.
And say the same thing. Like, yes, Ohio State, especially a lot of the teams in the Big Ten right now, are hot garbage.
Yep.
But who knows? Any one of those teams, like a Purdue, could maybe upset them one week, right? And that changes everything. That's why you play the games.
Yep.
Who knows? Maybe Ohio State would have lost in week 7 of their season or some bullshit.
I agree. I made that argument last week.
So the irony is it probably makes Ohio State's chances of getting in better, even though that argument has now been brought up because Florida is now out of the mix, essentially. So it's kind of weird.
Well, yeah, because there's less of a contender against them, but to your point, yeah, Ohio State doesn't have to play another game or so, and it's pretty much in as long as they win.
I guess the other thing that this might have, this game might have done is drastically lowered Kyle Trask's Heisman odds.
Yeah.
Do you still think that the Heisman will be basically handed out in Atlanta?
Oh, yeah. Well, right now, there's a top 2. I mean, Kyle Trask was my Heisman, and I think he still is. I mean, I don't think he had his ridiculous 5 touchdown games like every other game, but he still did all right against a shitty LSU team, granted. But, yeah, a loss later in the season always looks worse than it is, and obviously because it's against a bad team, it even looks worse. But he's still playing lights out. He still has ridiculous stats. Trevor Lawrence doing all right, but the COVID and being gone and not playing as many games. Justin Fields looks human. Also hasn't played that many games. Been out for shit. Zach Wilson, BYU, hasn't been playing. Lost a game. Didn't play that well. Hasn't played for a few weeks. You forget about these guys, and so it ends up being Kyle Trask because he's been playing and putting ridiculous stats up. And then probably Mac Jones just because he is on the number 1 team in the nation, even though I don't think he's that good. His team is really good, but it's a quarterback.
He can get the ball to the people who are really good on this team.
Yeah, but it's I guess it's a quarterback prize or a quarterback award, so that's why he's in the conversation. And then people are overlooking Ian Book from Notre Dame, who is also undefeated team. Also, I don't think he's that good. His team kind of as a whole is kind of mediocre, kind of good, I guess. That helps. Defense is good. It has some good O-line running. So maybe Ian Book just because it's a quarterback award. But I don't know. I think it's still Kyle Trask. If he were to do super shitty against Bama and then Mac Jones lights it up, I could see Mac Jones getting...
People are talking Devonta Smith.
Yeah, I could see Devontae Smith. It's just saying, it's always been a quarterback award. Running backs and quarterbacks, and mostly as of late, quarterbacks.
I mean, it's about ability to affect a game.
Yeah, but
and
if you're
to affect a game, you need the ball.
Yeah, but if you're going to put Devontae Smith, you might as well put Kyle Pitts instead of Kyle Trask.
I think one of the things with Kyle Pitts is when you watch him play and when he's involved in any individual play, you're like, yes, he is the best player on this team by far. Mm-hmm. The problem is he just doesn't have a ton of volume, realistically. He doesn't have...
He still has ridiculous stats, though.
He still has pretty good stats, yes. But the problem is Kyle Trask has done a pretty good job of spreading the ball around. And I think Kyle Trask's numbers compared to his contemporaries is more impressive. Kyle Pitts, like I said, if you watch him play, he dominates people, but it just doesn't, the volume doesn't seem to be there.
I mean, he has 36 catches for 641 yards and 11 touchdowns.
Yeah. The touchdowns is the most impressive part.
Bruh.
Devonta Smith has 83 catches for 1,370 something yards and 18 touchdowns.
Bruh.
It's just, I still think that Devonta Smith, Kyle Pitts is the best tight end in the country. And Devonta Smith is probably the best receiver in the country, if not one of the best players.
I get what you're saying. I'm just saying, I'm just doing a counter argument to your Devontae Smith. If you're going to put that guy in, why don't you throw in Kyle Pitts? But as we've said, it's probably going to be a QB. It's probably going to be Kyle Trask or Mac Jones.
Yep.
Or for some reason, if they try to throw in like Ian Book or Trevor Lawrence or something.
Yeah. Other games this weekend, not much else was really, not much else affected the college football playoff much.
Not really. Not a lot of the 6 top teams. There was only like 2 that played.
Yeah.
So.
And I guess I mean the question becomes if you think Georgia has a chance at the college football playoff at their current ranking of 8.
No, I've been saying it for weeks. Like I just said, I think they have to put Georgia somewhere compared to other teams, and putting them at 9 or 10 or 8 now is just a spot. Like it's not actually a chance of them to getting in. It's just where they think they compare to other teams, and so they have to put them there. But it's not representative of them having a chance to get in.
Even though they're kind of peaking at the right time.
No.
Blew out Missouri.
Yeah, JT Daniels is doing good. I've been saying that for weeks, that they should have been playing JT Daniels. I don't know if they just didn't see what he did at USC 2 years ago.
Maybe he just wasn't healthy.
He wasn't, and then he kind of was, and they were like, but we got Stetson Benton. It's like, who the fuck cares? That dude's
Stetson
trash.
Bennett is terrible.
He's trash. And like I said, like, did they not see what he did at USC? He's pretty good, and now he's doing really well. So that offense is working out now, and the defense has been good. Offense is working now; they look good. But I think they just have to put him in a position to compare to other teams without actually having a chance to get in. That's my take. I don't know if you think they have a way to get in.
I think the problem is there's three SEC teams ahead of them currently, and I think the problem is you need a lot to happen for them to get to that point.
I just don't. Like I said, I don't think there was ever a chance.
I mean, at this point, I'd say that there is a 0% chance.
No.
I don't even think any amount of real chaos would get them in at this point. Just because there's a few undefeated teams, and I think those are going to probably, even if they were to lose, they're only a 1-loss team, and I think those teams probably end up in there.
Yep.
So yeah, not much change. New Year's 6 implications.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's good that they keep on winning. They're still only a 2-loss team, pretty good team, and very much respected by the committee at 8, but I don't see it.
Yep. North Carolina, Miami, another game that didn't really have playoff implications, but some New Year's 6. North Carolina absolutely blew out Miami.
Yes.
It was a dicking, to say the least.
Nice.
What I remember from that game is just Miami fans just looking so sad.
Yeah, they got boat raced. They got boat raced in their own stadium.
Yep.
I mean, I think this was kind of. I called this game. I think the line was 3 to Miami because they were at home.
Yeah.
I think. But I called UNC. I didn't think it was a 30-point game, or whatever, 40-point game like they won. But yeah, Miami has gotten the benefit of the doubt just kind of because they had a shitty conference schedule, I guess, and beat teams kind of. So they kept on winning, and their only loss was to Clemson. So I think they were even up at one point up to like 5. And then they were hovering in the 8 to 10 range, and I never really thought they were for real. I always was like, this team is trash. They just benefit from losing to Clemson and kind of winning games. North Carolina, like you saw, has a really powerful offense with Sam Howell, and they've been doing that for weeks, and so it proved. Now North Carolina is probably in the talks for a New Year's 6, depending what happens with Notre Dame and Clemson, to probably play the Big 12 champion or the Big 10 champion or the SEC, maybe Florida or A&M.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good game actually.
I'd be
Think
excited.
about it.
Yeah.
I'd like to, if you had A&M versus UNC, it'd be two different play styles.
It would be A&M versus Mac Brown.
Yeah. So, but if it was Florida versus UNC, that could be like a 65-62 game.
Oh, you think so?
That shit would be a blowout. Those offenses are both very high powerful, and I think their defenses aren't that good.
Fair enough.
Florida's isn't that good, and I think UNC's rides on their offense as much.
Also, I think Jimbo's offensive style doesn't lead to lots of points for either team. Just because he controls the clock so much, and his time of possession is like insane. You know, like 2/3 of a game kind of thing. And he runs the clock down.
Yeah, but I think UNC could get points on the board. I think they're pretty good offense. Honestly.
I do think they would get points on the board.
And
I'm
they
just
would
saying,
make it at some point. That's fair. But what if UNC gets the ball and scores a couple of touchdowns real quick, and then
Jimbo's offense has one speed.
not if you're down 14.
He's shown one speed. He's shown like one gear pretty much the whole time.
I get that, but you gotta crank it up. Like you can't be like time of possession.
We've said that. I'm not saying that he shouldn't. I'm just saying he's got one speed, and
he has a slightly.
He's probably got some like bullshit coach talk on the sideline, like it's 0-0. Just go out and do your job.
He probably has. He has slightly higher speed. I'm not saying it's ridiculous, but if shit just starts flying around you and you're going down real quick, he steps that shit up. Like time of possession at that point doesn't matter. If North Carolina scores on one play and then it takes them 80 plays to go get a field goal, and then North Carolina scores another touchdown in one play, time of possession jack shit.
Regardless, the score will be lower because of the way that Jimbo plays, as
Lower
opposed
than
to
what?
Florida.
Oh, as opposed to Florida? Yeah. That's not an argument.
Or most teams, honestly. Also, a good
potentially.
defense helps. And we run the ball a lot. It's just kind of the way it works. But yeah. So this week's games,
Bruh, it's
very important, obviously.
championship weekend.
Yep.
It's moving day. It will be moving day.
It will be moving day.
Will be moving
A
day.
lot of what has
Or days, I guess. It's Friday and Saturday.
Yeah, the playoff rankings are going to be set this weekend. Obviously, there's only a couple spots that are.
You think they're going to be set this weekend? On Saturday or Sunday?
They're probably going to be set before the last game.
You think so? I don't think so. I think they're going to be set on Sunday whenever we see the committee. I think there'll be this debate for a spot.
There might be. I think what I was going to say is
I think this is one of the most probable where there could be a chance where they're all set before then, like that everybody would know who the top 4 teams are.
There is a scenario like that, yes.
Yeah, but I could see some shit happen, and then everybody start talking about who should be the 4th seed, and then
yeah,
see what happens
if
on
Alabama, Ohio State, and Clemson all win, I think for the most part everyone's going to know what the 4 are.
Yeah, maybe the order not so much.
The order is the thing that people would be curious about, but I think if those 4 teams in that situation, it's pretty solid. The only thing people might be talking about is whether Ohio State deserves a spot at that point, and someone will probably bring up Notre Dame, but I doubt it. I think because they had one loss and it beat Clemson, so.
No, I get it. I'm just saying I could see it go down until Sunday at noon.
Fair enough. So I guess an irrelevant game in our opinion.
You got to bring up all the conference championship games. Come on.
Yeah, no. I am. Pac-12 championship game seems kind of irrelevant. I know USC's like really hot for some reason right now. People are talking about them. I think it's just because the football power index from ESPN is hot.
I think they fixed it on purpose. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think they actually messed with it to make it more sense. But yes.
Yes. Pulling for Oregon on this one.
I don't really care. Oregon is only in there because Washington had COVID issues, so they can't play. Because it should have been Washington versus USC.
LOL.
And Washington, I think, only has one loss. And so the second place team, which is Oregon, at like 3-2, is playing in their spot because Washington can't play this game.
USC only has a 3-point like line,
Yeah, exactly.
which is saying something.
Well, USC's played 5 games and is undefeated, but I think 3 of the games went down to the last minute or so.
Yeah.
So,
And
they're against trash teams.
they barely survived UCLA this last weekend.
Yep, they barely survived UCLA. They barely survived Arizona State the first week, which Arizona State's like 1-3. They barely survived Arizona, who's 0-5.
And just fired their head coach.
Yeah, and just lost 77-3 or whatever it was.
Yeah, to Arizona State.
Yeah, so the wins. I mean, wins are wins. But if you squeak out a win against Arizona and Arizona State,
You know,
I don't have that much sympathy for you.
The thing with the college football playoff though is wins are wins. However, with the whole eye test thing, if that's actually a real thing that they're using, you know, they theoretically go deeper than a win is a win is a win. And yeah, you look at those and see, well, none of these were very good wins. They didn't control these games. They barely scraped them out.
Yep.
Yeah. So
We'll
get into more about.
We'll get into that more, but the
later.
thing with that is, USC is a blue blood. They get benefits of the doubt.
Yes. And that phrase specifically, we're going to get into.
Yes.
So another Big Ten championship game, number 14 Northwestern versus number 4 Ohio State. That's at 11 Central Time.
No respect for Northwestern, dude.
20 and a half
20.5
favorites for Ohio State.
It's a big line
That is a big line
for
in
a conference
game.
championship game. That's a big line.
I mean, anything could happen. I mean, I think Florida's line with LSU was bigger than that. So.
Yeah, that's a conference championship game, though.
Everyone's talking about how good Northwestern's defense is. I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, their defense is pretty good. I could see them. I mean, I think they keep it closer than 20.5. I don't think they win, but 20.5. You have to lose by 3 touchdowns.
I guess we'll see if we're going to see early season Justin Fields.
I guess it depends which Justin Fields you see, but 3 touchdowns, dude.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't think that's that outlandish.
I think that's outlandish.
Who are you taking on that line?
Northwestern.
Okay.
20.
I'll
you give
take
me
Ohio
20.
State.
You give me 3 touchdowns.
Yeah,
I'll take that
Ohio
shit.
State.
Ohio State needs to win by 21 points to be convincingly win.
Oh, you think they need to win by a convincing amount?
But I think Northwestern, I mean, probably still loses, but loses by like 10.
Let me ask you this question: is an Ohio State W blind, in a sense, like
Probably.
you know, if they win by 3 or if they win by 40, it's the same.
Yeah, probably.
Oh, yeah, I think it's probably fair.
Because they get the benefit of the doubt. I said that last week. I said they were in last week.
Yeah.
But the thing is that if they barely squeak this out, there'll be a lot of people talking about how they shouldn't have been ranked so high because of the games and all that.
Yeah.
But we will see.
We'll see.
I still think 20.5 is ridiculous.
That is a big line, but then again, I think there's pretty steep difference between the two teams. A game that is not a championship game, number 5 Texas A&M against at Tennessee, another 11 o'clock Central Time game.
Yep.
This game is it's an elimination game for A&M. It's not going to get them in necessarily. They need other things to happen, but it will definitely kick them out if they lose. So it's interesting to watch from that perspective.
Yep.
And it's A&M's last audition before, Selection Sunday. So
Yep.
This is one of those games where it's against kind of what Jimbo says, but I guess A&M's kind of got to blow Tennessee out here. I don't know if they can afford like a close game so much.
No, they can't afford a close game, but they can. I don't think they need to blow them out.
The more the merrier, I think, in this situation.
I guess. Blowing people out is stupid, though.
Yes. Big 12 championship game, 11 o'clock. Again, number 10, Oklahoma versus number 6, Iowa State. Oklahoma's 5.5 point favorite.
Yep.
Which is disrespect.
Taking Iowa State.
Hella disrespect on Iowa State.
Taking Iowa State on the line.
Taking Iowa State outright?
No, with the points.
Okay, so you got Oklahoma, but Iowa State on the line.
I just think Iowa State doesn't lose by 6.
Okay. Fair
Doesn't
enough.
mean I don't have Oklahoma.
What about outright?
I could go with it and say Iowa State.
Okay. Iowa State outright. If they win that game,
They have a path, dude. I've been saying it for like a week and a half now. They have a path.
well, the rankings from today give us a little bit more insight into what they think Iowa State is.
They believe in them.
Apparently.
They're number 6.
Apparently.
They have a path. I said it last week. I think I said it the week before, at least last week. I think Iowa State can get in.
And by path, again, similar things that we've talked about before,
Well,
Alabama
not like
and
where
Notre
there's just a
Dame.
million chaos things like
No,
that.
no, I'm
I think it's
gonna
pretty
give
clear.
an easier path, right? It's the Alabama wins, Notre Dame wins,
Yep.
right? And then you've got, let's say Ohio State wins,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you've got 2 that you're 100% in. I think Ohio State's 98% in, but there's going to be people talking about whether or not they've played enough games,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then you've got that 4th spot, and I think if they beat OU, especially if they beat them convincingly, and I'm doing air quotes, then yes, I think they become part of the discussion with 1-loss A&M and 2-loss Clemson, and then it's who's going to get that 4th spot.
Fair enough, yeah.
And so I think
they have
yes,
a shot.
that's their path at this point.
I think they have a shot. I think I said it last week. And then, they respect conference championships. The committee likes conference championships.
Not that conference.
Apparently they do, though. They have them 6.
Well, they're not conference champions yet.
Yeah, but if it's not that conference, it wouldn't matter.
Would Oklahoma also be in the conversation?
Yes.
Because they're also 2-loss?
Yes.
I guess Iowa State is really the definition of early losses don't count.
So is Oklahoma.
Yeah, same with Oklahoma.
And the point to Oklahoma would be that they redeemed themselves on their loss to Iowa State.
Yes.
Amen.
Well, I mean, Iowa State lost to a non-Power 5 team.
Yes.
That's not a very good look.
I'm not saying it is. I'm saying the committee respects them and believes in the Big 12. I have discounted the Big 12 since the second week of the football season. But
Because the Big 12 is not as good as the Sun Belt?
yeah, but apparently they are. They're 6-10, dude. 6-10 isn't 2 bad teams. You're not ranked in the top. You don't have 2 top 10 teams. And if they're not convinced they have a slim shot at best.
Yeah.
I think the committee respects them. I think the committee respects Iowa State more. And if they were to beat Oklahoma and wouldn't beat them twice,
Which is funny because the odds makers are thinking Oklahoma's a better team. And, as we always say, 3 points for the home team. That's a, 8.5 point line on neutral ground to Oklahoma.
what's the line?
It's 5.5 for Oklahoma.
Yeah, it's neutral ground. It's a neutral stadium. Anyways, what I'm getting at is if Iowa State were to beat Oklahoma twice, it shows after the the how respected they are by the committee. I think they'd have a really good shot. Oklahoma would redeem their 1 loss, so essentially that 1 loss is zilch, so it's only like a 1 loss. I don't know. I can see both of them get in. I have said from the beginning though, I don't think the Big 12 should get in, but I'm just going off of what the committee has shown us.
Yeah.
I wouldn't throw them in, but I'm saying the committee could do some shit.
Another game. This one is obviously extremely important for a lot of reasons because this game determines how many other games are important.
Fair enough.
Number 3 Clemson, number 2 Notre Dame, 3 o'clock Central Time. Clemson is a 10.5 point favorite.
Yeah. I don't know where they get those numbers from, that line from. People think Clemson's going to blow out Notre Dame. I get it. Trevor Lawrence wasn't there last game. You had a true freshman in DJ Uiagalelei.
Defense, a lot of defensive starters out.
Defense, yeah, there was a lot of defense starters out. So also that, and they had to go to overtime. So if you put those factors in, you probably don't go to overtime. Clemson probably wins. Blah 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 blah. I think this will be a close game. I don't. I would take. I think Clemson still wins this game, but I think I would take Notre Dame on that line. I think this will come down to like a last second field goal or like a 7-point game.
So at the end of the game, like, give me a prediction of the score.
Oh, prediction of the score.
Yeah. Over under 60.
I was gonna say 31-28.
31-28?
Yep.
Okay. I think it's going to be more close to like 42-31.
Okay. Clemson?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Clemson can win, and they probably will win, but I don't think the people who think the fact that they didn't have all these players back or when they played like a month ago and now they do is going to be like night and day. I get it. I understand it, but I still think it'll be closer than people think. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Clemson just destroys them by 40. But I don't know.
I mean, I think 60 is probably low. I would take the over on that line. But yeah, I don't know how much that Trevor Lawrence factor is. I guess we'll see. You know, theoretically, they have a chip on their shoulder.
Yeah.
Fucking Clemson with a chip on their shoulder.
Yeah, because they know that they're disrespected right now because they have a loss.
Oh, those poor bastards at number 3.
Yes.
Those poor bastards.
Because they literally think they should have won that game if they had all their players.
They probably should have won that game even without their players.
Fair, but they think they should have won that game with all their players, and so they think that the committee is putting them lower for no real reason. So now they got to prove it, and so that's where people think they're just going to put their foot to the ground and fucking throttle them by 40.
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah.
Well, I mean, here's rooting for Notre Dame outright though.
Fair
Go
enough.
Irish. First off, it creates more chaos in a certain sense because there's more open positions for the playoff, more things, more discussion. Committee's going to have a harder time trying to figure out who goes in, who's out.
Yeah.
So, and it opens the door for, certain teams.
Iowa State. Yeah. Iowa State would have an easy shot that way.
Cincinnati.
Yep. Cincinnati.
Yep.
Florida if they were to win.
Yep. Last game, well.
Oh, the game you just skipped was at 4. It was at 3 p.m. for people that didn't hear.
Yes.
This game's at 7.
This game is at 7. 7 Central Time, SEC Championship game. Number 1, Alabama. Number 7, Florida. Alabama has a 17-point favorite.
It's also a big line.
And it's also a big line. I think that's, again, I think generally speaking that's a pretty good line for this. Okay. Alabama's look absolutely unstoppable.
So who do you have in this? Who do you take with the line?
I'm going to take Alabama.
Okay. So you think they win by more than 17?
Yeah. I could easily seeing them win by 3 touchdowns or more, 24 or something like that. It's a 74.5 over under.
Yes.
So they're projecting a fucking high ass score, and I could easily see that. Alabama's putting up like 50 a game, and I could see them putting in the 40s type range. So 49-28.
Yeah.
Something like that.
I can see that. Yeah. I think Alabama wins by 40.
Fair enough.
I think Alabama destroys Florida.
Yeah.
I think they expose that defense.
Florida's defense is a fucking problem. Alabama has playmakers. They have talent, right?
Yep.
And I think their defense has gotten better. I mean, Arkansas scored 3 points. Not that Arkansas is like an amazing team, but to hold any, SEC team to 3 points is not.
I think Alabama's offense is pretty good. It's probably not Florida's offense, but it's really good. And I think Alabama's defense is very good now after figuring it out.
Wait, did you say you think Alabama's offense is not as good as Florida's offense?
Nope.
The fuck you smoking?
I do not think that, but it is very good also.
What?
And then I think the Alabama defense started off really bad this season and is now one of the better defenses. And so whenever Alabama's offense gets on the field and Florida's defense is on the field, it's going to be a boat race. And then Florida's offense will be stopped enough by the Alabama defense and they win by 40. It's going to be like 52-17. Yeah, 52-17. I'll give you that. 49-17.
First off, I think you're fucking high as shit.
Something like that. 49-17, 52-17. Yeah, I could see that. Easy money.
Alabama's offense is very much better than Florida's.
I don't agree.
And I guess we'll just agree to disagree on that
All right,
one.
we're going to disagree on that one.
Because Alabama's got better playmakers.
Fair.
They're better at running back. They're
Probably.
better at receiver.
Maybe.
They're better at receiver.
Maybe.
I'm not saying patch catcher. I'm saying receiver.
Okay, maybe.
You're a douche. You're chode.
No, I'm not.
Chode looking ass.
I just think they are comparable in offense. I think Florida's probably better, but the comparable offense and defense, it's not comparable at all. So whenever, here's the thing. It'll come down to this. Whenever you see Florida offense on the field, you see Kyle Trask there, and you see him get sacked and not be able to complete passes, that's when you figure out this game's over. Because whenever the opposite's happening, whenever Alabama's on the offense, it'll be the easiest thing.
Will Alabama have more touchdowns
It'll be
than
like
punts and field goals combined?
probably.
Yeah.
They were gonna slice through that defense like a hot knife through butter, dude. It will be not a thing.
I could easily see
Not
Like-
a thing.
13. Well, it's a lot of possessions. I could see Alabama, scoring like 7 touchdowns
Yes.
and punting like twice and
Yes.
kicking a field goal or 2.
Yes.
Pretty
Yeah.
easily.
Florida's defense is trash.
I'll probably
And-
just steamroll them.
Florida's gonna put up points. There's a better offense, so they're gonna put up points.
Fuck you, dude. They are not a better offense. Oh my god.
but
See, the problem is we're a small podcast. We're still working on growing our audience, and you come out and say some dumb shit like that. No one's gonna take us seriously.
hey man, I got takes. Don't worry about it.
Takes. You just took a shit on the mic.
No, I didn't. Hey man. And then Florida is gonna be good because they got good offense.
Objectively,
but
an idiot.
the defense of Alabama is gonna stop them eventually, a good amount of times, and the game's gonna be over. It's gonna be over. It'll be out of hand by
Ooh, out of
halfway through
hand.
the third.
I think it'll be out of hand in the second.
Jesus. Okay.
Alabama's gonna be up like 21-7 in the first quarter,
That's not out of hand.
and then they're probably gonna score immediately in the second quarter. It'll be like 28-7 or some bullshit,
That's still kind of not out of hand.
and then they're gonna put Devonta Smith in
Why the fuck would they put him in then?
because he was tired or some shit. He was just resting.
Why? Because he's trash? Because that offense isn't good? Yeah, that's why, right?
Yep.
Because they were like, oh no, we got better players than Devontae Smith. Offense. Yeah, okay.
They were like, well, we want to rest Devontae for the national championship, so we're going to just start freshmen, and then we'll put him in if we're only up by 21 in the second, I can see it. That's Nick Saban's plan for sure. He's
And
a smart
I'm
guy.
high.
He's a smart guy.
And I'm high. Okay.
Yeah. I guess this is an
Why don't they
interesting...
start Bryce Young then? Fuck it.
They could start Bryce Young.
They won't fucking start Bryce Young.
They might.
All right, other games that Eric thinks aren't even worth a rip, but we need to talk about them because it is conference championship. It's moving day, dude. You got the AAC championship game, Tulsa versus Cincinnati, man. Tulsa 23,
One true
Cincinnati number
champ.
9. Huh?
One true champ.
One true champ, yeah. Cincinnati number 9. It's a ranked game. Cincy could improve their resume, beat a ranked team, try to make a push for the playoffs. I don't think Cincy has a
Hell
chance
no.
because of how they keep on dropping them
They
when
keep
they don't
dropping,
even
yeah.
play fucking games. But do you think they have a chance?
No.
Okay. All right. Second game, the Sun Belt Conference Championship.
One true champ.
One true champ. Apparently more important.
These are going to be the champs of
The Big 12.
The Big 12.
Yeah, apparently more important than the Big 12 championship.
Yep.
You got number 19 Louisiana Raging Cajuns, who did beat Iowa State early on in the season.
Yep.
And then you got number 12 Coastal Carolina, who most recently beat BYU a couple weeks ago. Is probably their best win. Who do you got on this one? Line is Coastal Carolina by 3.5.
I got Louisiana.
You Louisiana?
Hell yeah, dude. Let's go Raging Cajuns.
Really? You think you got Louisiana?
Yeah.
I got Coastal Carolina. I think Coastal Carolina will beat Louisiana, have a better win to the resume, and pass Cincinnati.
I wasn't wowed by Coastal Carolina in that BYU game.
What? That was probably the best game of the season.
Yeah, that's the sad part. I wasn't wowed by their team. Like, a good game doesn't mean that both teams played well.
That was a good game.
Oh,
I thought Coastal
sure,
Carolina played
great.
really well.
You heard me.
You don't think they played well? You think it was more of BYU playing bad than them playing well?
I think it was more BYU being bad than them playing well.
That's what I'm saying. You think it was more that this team wasn't for real compared to Coastal Carolina?
I think
Carolina being
Coastal's
for
pretty
real.
good, but I also think Louisiana is really good.
I think Louisiana is good. I think Coastal Carolina is better. I think Coastal Carolina will win this game and will pass up Cincinnati.
If they
For the
win this
group of
game,
5.
even if Cincinnati beats Tulsa,
Yes. For the group of 5 New Year's 6 bid.
I don't think that would happen.
All right.
Because I think what would end up happening is Coastal's going to move up, depending on a lot of the other games, right?
Exactly.
But I don't think they move past Cincinnati.
You don't think so?
No.
If Oklahoma loses, that's a spot that could move up. I'm trying to think who's 11.
But again, and we'll get to this in a little bit about
Indiana
college
doesn't play
football
a game.
rankings.
Apparently, you don't have to play games anymore, but Indiana doesn't play a game. Who's above them can move up there because they have a game.
Wins don't, mean that you have to go up an X number of spots, obviously. Theoretically, with the eye test and all that bullshit, they've played 11 games. The sample size is pretty good.
Exactly.
So you would think, right, and I'm not defending this. You would think that, okay, they're 11 games in. We should have seen what they are at this point, and they should be ranked about what they are, right? That's not really how the rankings really work, right? Because unfortunately, I think some of the AP poll kind of can carry it on. But, yeah, I don't see them passing Cincinnati.
I think they passed Cincinnati. But
Okay.
anyways, in the last game, last ranked conference championship game in the Mountain West, we got San Jose State, who is coming in at number 24 in the rankings. I don't think San
fighting
Jose.
Nick Starkles.
Yes, 5 wins, 5-0 or 6-0.
6-0.
6-0.
Get your eyes checked.
6-0 against Boise State. The line is actually Boise by 6.5. But yeah, San Jose, I think, has never actually been ranked. So,
It's the
and
Nick
it is
Starkle
your
effect.
boy Nick Starkle,
Nick Starkle
who
effect.
has apparently the cheat code for infinite ammo on his fucking sleeve when he plays
From?
San Andreas, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas.
Does 106 of 160 for 1,453 yards and 13 touchdowns sound like infinite ammo to you?
Hey man, he's 6-0.
Hey, shit, he's a winner.
Hey man, he's 6-0.
He's come a long
He
way
has
from
13
having.
touchdowns in 6 games.
How many picks did he throw against San Jose State?
That's not what we're
last
talking
year?
about. That's not this year.
No. I'm just asking a simple question. A lot.
Oh my god.
I guess they were like, he's so good at throwing to our team. We just need to have him on
I
it.
know that joke was coming.
And look how fucking good
Saw
it
that
worked
shit
out.
coming. This dude doesn't have good content. Fuck you.
There's a reason why we don't have video.
There's a reason why you
Ugly fucking ass.
Oh yeah, that's why. Okay.
People don't want to hear your bullshit and see it too.
Okay, that's what it is. All right.
Also, we might do video. Who knows?
yeah, there's video coming next season.
Next season, there you go.
Anyways, who do you have in this game?
I'm gonna go for San Jose State.
Fuck it, I'm going San Jose State too. Fuck the blue stadium.
Yeah,
Boise
that was
State.
one of my reasoning too. The only reason was because fuck their fucking field, dude.
Boise's not even a fucking state.
It's not even a state. San Jose, on the other hand,
It's also not a state.
bro, what country is this game in? But yeah, no, my entire, what's sad was I was sitting here like thinking about that. I was like, oh shit, I'm gonna have a good ass joke about how like the only reason why I'm going for San Jose State is because of their fucking blue ass field.
Blue stadium.
And then you bitch ass said it too. Ah, shit.
All right. Well, those are all the ranked conference championship games. I thought we'd had to throw in those last few just for fun.
Hey, you know,
Shits and giggles.
1-2 champ. Championships are championships, dude.
Championships are championships.
You know. All right.
All chips are made equal.
All ships are made equal.
A chip is a ship is a ship. Are we talking about like chips like a boat? Are we talking like chips like the chips you eat like
Well, I guess if you're dyslexic, you say chips like what you eat. Championship.
championship? One true championship? Like what is this?
One true chip. This has gotten off topic.
Yeah, we digress again.
The drinking game. Every time we say we digress. Comments on CFP rankings. So they came out a couple hours ago.
Yep.
I mean, obviously we talked a little bit about it at the beginning of the show, especially with Florida losing.
Yep, that's a big one. Well, so I guess the top 5 didn't change, right? Alabama, Notre Dame, Clemson, Ohio State, A&M. Number 6 changed because it was Florida, so now it's Iowa State. But Florida, which is surprising, and I guess it's my perceptions of the rankings, Florida didn't drop as much as I thought they would. Don't know if that just means they respect Florida enough, or the teams behind them they just really don't care about. And they're pretty much seeing there's only about 5 or 6 teams that have a chance. Because from my assumption, I thought Florida was going to be like 9, 10 or so, you know? Right in that range. Behind Iowa State, obviously. Behind probably Cincy. Maybe behind Georgia, even though there's a head-to-head there. Florida won the head-to-head. Maybe even behind like an Oklahoma or an Indiana. Right there, you know?
Yeah, I think this is kind of what we're seeing, especially if you've compared the college football rankings and the AP poll, and I kind of alluded to it earlier, but there's a sense, at least historically, that for the AP poll, when a team wins, it almost seems like the voters just like add a couple spots, like depending on what happens in front of them, obviously, but they kind of just add a couple spots, right? And so like you gain ranking by just earning wins. And theoretically, the college football playoff is different, right? They do take into account your full body of work, as they say, which includes wins and losses, but they supposedly look a lot beyond that at the eye test and how good these teams are, their strength of record, all this bullshit, whatever. So it makes sense if you look at it from a perspective of, okay, well, if the college football playoff has looked at all of their whole body of work, Florida's whole body of work, and been like, well, you know, you look at their losses, okay, so they lost to an A&M team by 3. They lost to an LSU team also by 3.
Yep.
Was that the same score? It was 38-35.
38-35.
And then 37-34.
Yeah.
That's fucking funny. Theoretically, you're looking at them, not much has changed, right? Like you said, Kyle Trask looked good in that game. Their defense looked really bad, obviously. And they had some horribly costly mistakes.
Yes.
In the AP poll, they dropped all the way to 11.
I think they were 11 or 12, yeah.
And like you mentioned, in college football playoff, they dropped to 7.
Yep, they dropped
which
one spot.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
From the perspective of the eye test and other things like that, if you go deeper than just wins and losses.
I guess I get it. I mean, like I said, I think it proves that they believe in Florida, like you said, because of the 2 losses are close losses, some weird standards, a last-minute field goal for A&M, a last-minute missed field goal for Florida, so it's like right there type of games you don't get blown out. The other surprising one for me was Cincy dropping once again. Cincy was 7, I think, 2 weeks ago, dropped to 8, and then dropped to 9, and they haven't played in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think it's one of those, it's another symptom of the college football playoff rankings and the way they're supposed to work. Because when you evaluate the teams, you do it every week, obviously, and they're looking at, okay, well, I guess in this case, Iowa State has given us, or Georgia has given us another data point, right? Okay, well, now that if you look at the whole Georgia, and let's be real, it's probably the most recent games that they're considering,
Yep.
kind of thing. You're comparing the two teams, and you might say, well, Georgia looks better than Cincinnati, and so you move them down. And the AP poll, Cincy is 6,
Yep.
right? And that's a product of the teams in front of them have lost, and they have not lost, right? They haven't played this last week,
Yep.
but they haven't lost, which just means that they just keep filtering up,
Yep.
right? So again, it's one of those, you go up if you win, and you drop down if you lose, and you basically stay exactly where you are if nothing happens, or all your movement is dictated just by the stuff around you, kind of thing.
I get that, but my argument then is, why does Cincy, for not playing a couple weeks, get moved down a couple spots, and Ohio State, who doesn't play for a week or two, doesn't move? It's almost like it depends team by team, and Ohio State gets the benefit of the doubt, and Cincy, this goddamn same fucking state, does not.
I guess that's a good segue into the concept of the benefit of the doubt in the college football playoff ranking. I guess the quickest way to sum up that concept is just utter bullshit. I mean, it's literally just preferential treatment to teams based on what people perceive them to be at the beginning, right?
Mm-hmm.
In history, right? Okay, well, it's Alabama. It's Clemson. It's Ohio State.
Yep.
And possibly even it's Notre Dame kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
They get the benefit of the doubt, which should not be how it works, right? Benefit of the doubt should not be factored in at any time. It should not, that shouldn't be how things are chosen. If an A&M team, or even, let's say even a Cincinnati team, like you're saying, in Ohio State, you look at their resumes. If you think their resumes are pretty similar, especially because Ohio State hasn't played that many games and all that kind of stuff, they're going to give it to Ohio State because they have the benefit of the doubt, because of history, things that happened that are not this season.
I agree.
Everything that they choose, the teams that go to the playoffs, and the things that they look at to get those teams to the playoff has to be exclusive to this season. And that's not how it works.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
People bring in
the whole blue
biases
stuff. Yeah.
and in history with them into the room to make these decisions.
Yeah, the whole blue bloods. Yeah, I get that. It does almost prove a point that it is virtually impossible for a group of 5 to get in.
Yes.
Since he had the upper hand to getting in potentially because they started and played more games, and then other teams started later, and it doesn't fucking matter apparently. They had the chance. I think they were up to like 6 or 7, and everybody's like, they have that chance. This could be the year with COVID and all this, and pretty much has proven that it's impossible for a group of 5 to get in because of the same reason, because they have the bias, the benefit of the doubt, the blue blood, the Alabamas, Clemson's, Ohio States, Texas's, Notre Dame's, OU's of the world. The USC's will always get the benefit of doubt and make it virtually impossible for a contender to get in, or a non-contender to get in. None of those non-blue blood teams. So it is unfortunate that it works, because if you look at them side by side, you should be comparing Cincy versus Ohio State, and they aren't. They just are put them in different scales, different levels, and unfortunately, it doesn't pan out for these teams. So, those are the two biggest ones I have. Cincy going down for not doing anything, while Ohio State doesn't do anything, it stays at their spot and might actually go up depending on what happens. And then Florida only going down a spot, which proves also a little bit of bias because it is Florida also. So
yeah, I think like you said, the Power 5 teams have it's more difficult now with the cultural playoff to be considered than it was before.
Yeah. And I mean, they said it on ESPN today when they were doing the rankings. If so Ohio State's in the position because they've only played 5 games. If Alabama or a Clemson or a Notre Dame, those type of teams who are also blue bloods, were also in the same situation as like a 5-0 less games, they would also get the benefit of doubt. While other teams don't get that benefit of doubt. So
yeah,
just how it is, I guess.
Yep. Alabama playing Cincinnati's schedule would still be ranked number 1.
Yes. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm getting at.
That if you weren't sure, listeners, what we were trying to get at, it's that.
Yeah.
It's that if you had Cincinnati,
if Ohio State and Cincinnati would have been played each other's schedules,
yes,
they would still be in the exact same positions.
Yes.
But because they are Ohio State and Cincinnati. Also, if you want to look into it and look at more specifically number 5, look at the strength of schedules for the top 6 teams. They don't make sense.
Nope.
So
there's one that is very much an outlier.
Yes.
Compared to the others. Yeah, there's a benefit of the doubt, and unfortunately, with the current setup for the college football playoff, the Blue Bloods have a lock on the positions because there are just not enough.
Yep.
A 4-team playoff, there's just not enough spots
to go around.
To absorb all of the Blue Bloods and the biases.
Yep.
And then also get other, you just can't. Without an 8-team playoff.
And that's why the talk's been recently about an 18 playoff because of these situations. So,
I mean, they already have, one spot in the New Year's Six is reserved for a Power 5 team.
Yep.
Or Group of 5. Why can't they just make an 8-team playoff and have the same thing? One spot's reserved for a Group of 5 team.
Well, that's how it should be. There shouldn't be a New Year's Six because there's 6 bowls. They should make 4 of them be the quarterfinals, the next 2 be the 2 semifinals, and they figure out the 7th game to be the final. Simple. Yeah. I think it makes almost too much sense.
Yeah.
That would be so much easier. You literally have all the 6 spots still get a game.
But the problem is most of those wouldn't be on New Year's then.
No. So, yes, you could. You could put the quarterfinals on New Year's.
So you put the quarters on New Year's?
Yeah.
And the semis like 2 weeks into January, and then the championship at the end of January?
You'd probably You'd probably want to have 10 days between the games type of thing.
Okay, so 3 weeks?
Yeah, you'd have to be a little bit back-to-back. You'd have to be like the first, then like, so this year wouldn't be every year, obviously, but this year the first is like a Friday. You'd play that Friday, you'd play like the 9th, the next Saturday, and you'd play like the 16th, the championship. Because you don't want to get too far into the NFL schedule.
Yeah.
Or you play the Monday because the championship's all on Monday. My bad. You're going to play the 16th, you play the 18th.
It'd be...
So you get like 9 days almost every time.
Yeah. I guess there probably would be pushback from some of the bowls.
Yeah, that's a problem.
I would think particularly the Rose Bowl, because there's so much else going on around the game with the parade, obviously, and the history of it being a Pac-12 versus a Big Ten game.
I mean, every 2-3 years they don't get that anyways.
Yeah, but now we're talking like, I mean, I guess, yeah, if the 4 of them are on New Year's, but they're not going to have the same...
Yeah, if you were every...
ties.
Yeah, every third year they'd be a semifinal game, and you're saying they wouldn't be on the first.
I mean, that's how it is now. But
or fine, if the Rose Bowl really wants to be on the first, you can always be a quarterfinal game.
Yeah.
And then the other 5 just decide who wants to be quarterfinals and who wants to be semifinals, and then every 6th year, one of the 6 is the final.
What if they did? What if they did a quarterfinals game? Well, problem is, teams would have no motivation if they lost, right? If you did a quarterfinal game in like kind of almost like a now time frame, right? Like mid to late December.
You could do that.
And then 2 of the bowls on New Year's are semifinal games.
Yeah.
2 are like consolation.
You could do that, but they wouldn't care. Really.
That's what I'm saying. Is like I don't think they
Nobody
would care.
Nobody wants to be number 5 or 6.
No. Like, and yeah, what are you playing for anymore?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, obviously we're going to keep being proponents of an 18 playoff because it just makes fucking sense.
It makes more sense. I mean, every time the last spot will be debated. Like that's always been, even when there was only 2, the PCS, and it was the 1 and 2, there was always debates of the 2 should have been this team versus the 3. Now it's the 4 versus 5, but it means...
I think more structure is important.
Yes, it's more structure if you get 8, but it's also like less of an issue if you mess up the 7 or the 8 versus the 9 than if you mess up the 2 versus the 3.
Yes.
I think it makes more sense. It's a weird way of saying it, but like if you were to mess up an 8 or 9, it's less of an issue than like messing up.
Theoretically, those teams are long shots anyway.
Yeah, compared to a 2 or a 3 back in the BCS, which like a 2 and a 3 is probably in a national championship team. 3, 4, 5 are probably national championship teams.
Right now, if the season ends, we're talking Alabama Notre Dame versus Alabama Clemson.
Clemson, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's a big difference. Whereas right now we would be talking Georgia versus Cincinnati.
Exactly.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The last spot is always debatable because that's always going to be, but it makes it less of an issue, I think, if you have more teams.
If you learned anything from that discussion, it's that benefit of the doubt is bullshit.
Oh, 100%.
And
also, why is this is just of me being mad about stuff? Why is A&M? Why do they always bring up the fact that A&M lost to Alabama already, and they wouldn't want to put A&M in number 4 to see that again, to give somebody else a chance?
We've already seen Clemson Notre Dame.
We've already seen Clemson Notre Dame. Also, with that argument, we just should never play at Alabama. We should always get COVID that week. From now until ever.
Yeah. Yeah, you brought this up. You brought this up earlier off air.
Yeah.
About what if that Alabama A&M game was canceled?
Exactly.
And all we knew was that A&M beat Florida.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, I get that like Bama is really good, but they're throttling everybody, and just the fact that we played them versus Ohio State not playing them, or Clemson not playing them, or Notre Dame not playing them, they get the benefit of the doubt.
Where would A&M be ranked if they hadn't played Alabama and had won all the rest of their games?
5.
You think so?
Yeah.
I think they would be 4. Or
Ohio State would be 5?
Yeah.
I could see that.
I think they'd be 3 or 4.
I could see that.
Because they would know that Clemson Notre Dame would work itself out. And then A&M without a loss would look better than Ohio
you think
State.
Eventually they would bring in those games, that having more games played, A&M at 8-0 or something at that point versus the 5-0 Ohio State would be flipping. I could see that. That's a good argument.
I mean, I think it's just close. And it'd be hard to tell where A&M sits. Other than that, it's just better than Florida, kind of thing. Yeah, I mean, it's tough because, like you said, yeah, A&M just gets COVID when you play Alabama. You just don't play that game.
You just don't play it.
Yeah.
I think they would still not get the benefit of the doubt because, like, Ohio State does or whatever. But
yeah, Ohio State could have lost to Michigan.
Exactly. As was proven this week with, like you said, the Florida LSU game.
Yeah.
Anybody can lose to anybody. Michigan's bad, but it's a rivalry game. Like,
yep. Anything can happen.
Yeah, nobody just, like, sends that one in. That's a big-ass game. Like, that's the game. Like,
the hits are harder.
Exactly.
People are out there for blood. I mean, it's different.
Michigan, like you said before, Harbaugh might get fired or maybe not. If they beat Ohio State, they are good with that season. Like, these players, it's a different game. So
yeah, the rest of the season doesn't matter.
Yeah,
and same with the players, and it's their last game. So, fucking go all out.
Why
you have
they got
nothing to lose.
Yeah, they would love to fuck up Ohio State's chance of making the playoffs.
Yes,
so
100%, and they almost did.
Almost did by not playing them.
by licking handrails.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, who knows? Big 12 chance at the playoffs. We talked a little bit about it earlier.
I think there's a chance.
I think there's a slight chance. But I think they need a lot of help.
Yeah, I think they need a little bit of chaos. Yeah.
Yep. Coaching carousel.
It started, bro.
It's already begun, which is kind of weird because I kind of expected this season to be almost a pass for a lot of coaches.
Amen. The South Carolina Muschamp got fired early. Derek Mason from Vanderbilt got fired early.
Yeah, I saw something that was it A&M has more wins over teams who have fired their head coaches
probably
than not.
Yeah, Gus Malzahn now.
Yep.
So 3 of them. Who else has fired the coach?
Saw something. That's what I was like. Who else has fired their coach?
We didn't play Lincoln. Mike Leach is still there. Nick Saban's still there.
Oh, it's against teams with a winning record. That's what it was. Yeah.
Auburn, Alabama, Florida. Well, wins over teams or teams
wins
play.
over.
So it's Florida, Auburn. Vandy's not over 500.
Nope.
I can't remember.
It's not so much a
Miss
knock
State's
on A&M, and it's just a comment.
Well, yeah, they played 3 teams that don't have coaches right now.
Yeah, it's a commentary on how many people are getting canned. Gus Malzahn, I mean, I think he didn't. It's kind of funny they were talking on ESPN or whatever it was.
Yeah.
That, was it Colin Cowherd that was saying he thought that Gus was going to be more of an annoyance to Alabama?
Yes.
Even though he's beat them more than anyone else has.
Yes.
Probably outside of like Clemson or some shit. I don't know.
No,
I think
Clemson's
3
only
times.
beat Alabama twice.
Yeah.
Gus Malzahn in his 8 years has beat him 3 times.
Yeah. So again, it's one of those things where the only check on the, resume or, at the end of the year performance review is, did you beat Alabama? Yes or no. Same with Ohio State or,
Same,
Michigan.
Ohio State.
Michigan, did you beat Ohio State? Kevin Sumlin is just not good.
Kevin Sumlin's just not good. Hasn't won in a while. Apparently they're 0-5 and lost like 5 last year or something. And they lost by 70. I don't know if you have anything else to say to that one. I wanted to talk more about Gus, honestly.
The one thing I'll say about Kevin is he rode without Johnny. He would have probably been fired in a couple of years, 3 years maybe at A&M.
Yeah, probably.
He got the Arizona job because he was the head coach at A&M and because of what happened with Johnny, and they had Khalil Tate, and it kind of looked like, well, maybe he can do the same thing here.
Yeah. No,
Kevin Sumlin is a slightly above average recruiter.
Okay.
Given a very, very equal or greater than playing field for himself, right? A&M has great facilities, money, all that kind of stuff. Arizona doesn't have quite the same thing, so he's not going to be as effective, but he's a decent recruiter. Cannot develop a player to save his goddamn life.
No.
Can't control his own team. Can't control
Probably not.
attitudes. Head coach or coaches. Doesn't discipline players. Here he's probably going to end up either. The sad part is, like, you would think that he would end up as maybe like an OC somewhere. His offense is shit. If anything, he'll end up at maybe like a group of 5 team somewhere.
You could go to depending if Auburn takes Hugh Freeze from Liberty, he go to Liberty.
You go to Liberty, there you go. Circle of life.
Circle of life. Yeah, he's not good.
Back to Gus. Gus.
My thing, with Gus is, can Auburn? So it's kind of a 2-part type thing. What is Auburn like? What is their goal, and what are they? And second off, can Auburn find a better coach than Gus to be at that position? And I'll give you background on these. This team, with Gus, they made like 3 SEC championship games, won a couple, went to a national championship game against Florida State that one year, like beat Alabama 3 of 8 times, which, like you said, is the most. Unfortunately, though, they are in the same state as Alabama, and since they're the the top of all of college football, it's like you're always the second fiddle to them, even in your own state. But like, what are they, and like, what are they trying to do, and can they do better than Gus, really?
I'll start with your second question. Probably not much better.
Like, who can they go get where you're like, this guy is gonna be like better than this? Like, I'm not saying Gus was like winning 12 games a year, but
and this I think gets to the other point, the other question. It's right. He's one more win away from being 4-4 against Nick Saban, right? Not that is close, right? A win's, big and whatever, but Auburn has kind of, I think, like a delusions of grandeur type situation.
Okay.
They are not on the same level as an Alabama, obviously. I think they're
almost a big program. Like,
they're a big
not
program.
Like a small, like, okay, Arkansas or Vanderbilt, they get money. Like they're a pretty good big program.
The problem for them is, like you were saying, they're in the same state as Alabama. They lose out on recruiting to Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
They have to beat Alabama. Essentially, anybody in the SEC West has to go through Alabama to get to the SEC championship game.
Yep.
And Auburn did it at a rate no one else could.
Mm-hmm.
Right, 3 out of 8 is pretty good against Alabama
Yep.
in the Nick Saban era.
Yep.
What they exist to do is, I think, when get to SEC championship games.
Okay.
And maybe win them occasionally.
Yeah.
Beat Alabama.
Beat Alabama, which is hard to do, obviously. But like you said, like being in the SEC West, they also play, obviously, A&M now, who's up and coming, seems to be figuring it out. LSU, who's always there. And then, obviously, Alabama. I mean, Arkansas is kind of figuring out, rebuilding. Both Mississippi schools are kind of rebuilding. But to get to the point, Alabama, LSU, and now A&M and Auburn are more the upper echelon of the SEC West. And it's difficult for any of those teams to beat Alabama. So, like, is it just because they're in the same state, or is it because, like, they are in the SEC West and they just see the writings on the wall that A&M is coming, LSU is always there, Alabama's always there? Like, I don't know how much more you expect of a coach is what I'm getting at. Like, I don't expect Jimbo at A&M to win a championship every year. Like,
No.
You have fucking Nick Saban there, and you have LSU there, and you're going to have Auburn there probably every year. But you should probably get 9 wins, 10 wins. And then if all the, like, stuff aligns, like LSU last year, like, shit aligns, the stars align, and you get a 15-0 season, then, like, that's good. But also LSU is trash this year. 2 years ago or 3 years ago, they fired Les Miles for winning, like, 9 games, almost for the same reason they're firing Gus Malzahn. So it's like, is it just because of Nick Saban?
Yes.
Or is it, like, there's more there that Auburn thinks they can do?
Well, I think part of the issue too is that a lot of these team successes are built off of beating Alabama, right?
Yeah.
And the thing with Alabama is, I guess the best metaphor I can give for it is Auburn is just another hurdle.
Yeah.
In a long race, right?
Exactly.
Right. Alabama is there's 12 hurdles in a race, and Alabama just is just getting over each one of them,
next one.
and they're just another hurdle.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a little bit taller just because of the rivalry, but to Auburn, that's like the race.
Yeah, that's the whole thing.
And same thing with LSU.
Yep.
That's the race. Like,
well, for A&M also, like that's what we're,
yes.
especially now this season when we've beaten LSU and Auburn a couple of times now. Like,
the thing with A&M is they don't have the history in the SEC
Fair
that
enough,
those
fair
other
enough.
schools have, and they just don't have that same rivalry with Alabama.
fair
right?
enough.
So they've beaten them once. They beat them first year, so they're
Mhm.
1-7
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
But after that first year, it really hasn't been close.
No, not really.
So, until we do start beating them, if that ever comes,
Yeah.
It's hard to really like put that as like the pinnacle of.
Yeah, but like I think, and maybe I speak for myself and not all of the Aggies who are listening, but winning 9 or 10 games, or 10, 11 games, whatever, and losing Alabama, I think for Aggies right now is like pretty good. Like I would be happy with a 10-2, 11-1 season for the next like 2-3 seasons or so. But like Auburn had not every year obviously 10 or 11 wins, but they had that every 2-3 years. Like 2 years ago they won the SEC championship game. 3 years before that they were in a national championship game. Like I think they beat Alabama that year too. So like, what more do they want, and can they get that with a new coach? I don't know if they can. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to strike gold with some random coach they pick up.
Do they move up like an OC or something, or a young gun or something, or
Yeah.
do they go for like an Urban Meyer bullshit?
That would be interesting if they brought
I don't
in
know. I'm
Urban
just throwing
Meyer.
out names at this point.
It would be interesting though.
You know?
Especially because Tom Herman's the coach at Texas, as
apparently. Yeah.
their AD said.
I just think it's like, I don't know what more they wanted from Gus. Granted, they don't have championships and stuff, but it's difficult, I think, for anybody. So
Yes. Speaking of signing, Giannis signed his Supermax.
He did.
which I think both of us were quite surprised at.
I was not because of the money wise, because he is going to make 228 over 5 years, which is absurd. I think it's 45 or 46 a year.
Yep.
Just stupid money. 46 million, not $46.
I was about to say.
$46
That's a lot of money.
million dollars. The thing I was surprised by was the fact that he could decline this year, or like this offseason, to sign and wait till next year for the offseason, and they would still give him the same contract. So this year is like not necessary, essentially. Like he could have played this year on his current contract and had the same exact contract a year from now, and then signed then. So I think it's a little bit premature. What do you think?
I think from an image perspective, it's the good move, right? Because it's like I'm all in bullshit.
Like, yeah, his tweet, like, this is my city, this is my
Exactly.
home or something.
Exactly. He's going to sell jerseys out his ass.
So,
Otherwise, you might think twice about buying a Giannis jersey, mid-season. You're like, well, shit, he's going to leave. His ass is going to leave anyway. Might as well buy a Drew Holiday jersey.
Fuck. Okay, that's the argument. All right.
It's an argument. I'm not saying it's a good argument. But yeah, I agree. I don't know why he signed now. Business decision-wise, it doesn't make a lot of sense. If that team doesn't fully gel, I mean, I guess maybe that's another reason, is be like, even to his teammates, like, look, I'm in it for the long haul. Again, these guys are professionals. This shit happens. So it's like, yeah, I don't know. Locking himself in for another 5 years when this could very easily not work out.
That's what I'm saying. There's nothing there that proves to me that it looks like they're trying to make moves to make a run, but haven't seen it yet on the court. What if he wins another MVP and then they lose in the second round again?
Yeah. It'll get frustrating real quick.
Yeah,
his ass can be locked up.
Like, it'd be like, shit, but you got 4 more years of this. Like, crap, I could have gone to wherever. Like, good for him. Yeah. Like, I'm not bashing anybody for making bank. Like, get your bag, dude. But, like, he still makes bank. Like, I think he makes right now like 25 mil. But, like, he's not. I don't see it right now him winning a championship there.
Yeah.
Do you think there could be like in the next 5 years a championship?
So I think one of the issues for him in Milwaukee too is there's been a kind of a trend recently where the East is becoming a little bit more difficult to get out of.
Yes.
If we think that Brooklyn is going to be good, exactly. If we think that the Heat, if that wasn't a fluke, right? The Celtics are young. They're getting a lot better year in, year out. The Sixers are garbage.
The Knicks?
The Knicks are
trash.
The Knicks.
Hey man, but what about Harden to the Sixers?
The Knicks aren't even as good as like a shit that the Sacramento Kings took. Like, that's where the Knicks stand for me. Yeah, I mean, it's just going to be a little bit more difficult. I mean, it just means that they don't have like a free waltz to the NBA Finals. I mean, obviously they got knocked out early this year by the Heat. Not that I think that is going to happen every time, but
like you said, the Nets are coming up. Like, the Nets could be real good.
Yeah,
the Nets might make the finals.
I guess
the Celtics start, developing.
I guess the one argument for the Bucks is that the one complaint that we had, the one thing that we had always talked about that was holding back Giannis and the Bucks, was they needed a consistent second scoring option. And Chris Middleton just didn't fill that role.
No. So now you got two guys
that aren't going to fill that role.
Yeah. You got two guys that make over $40 million or whatever, and neither of them are that going to fill that role.
Yeah, so Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton need to, week in and week out, game in and game out, whatever you want to say, they have to make probably a second and a third scoring option in total.
So Giannis gets 30. How many do Middleton and Holiday have to make together
I think they need to get 40.
between the two?
Yeah.
Damn. Those fuckers get cold real quick.
Yeah.
Not that they can't. Like, Holiday's a pretty good player. Middleton's a good player too, but I don't think Middleton was the second fiddle to them. Maybe between Holiday and Middleton, they make the second fiddle. I don't know, dude.
We'll see. I mean, you know, that was their biggest problem is that they needed more scoring. And if Drew Holiday can help provide that, then maybe they got a shot. But yeah, the East is going to be more difficult. The Lakers only got better in the offseason. They kind of took their most broken pieces, sent them halfway across the map, and then absorbed some really, really good bench players.
All right, so which is a better sign? Paul George with the Clippers, who signed something like $190 million for 5 years or whatever it is, or Giannis with the Bucks?
Giannis.
Giannis is a better sign.
For the team?
For themselves.
Oh, for themselves? Paul George.
For the team, it's the...
Yeah.
Giannis? Okay.
Because Paul George is not good.
So you don't think the Paul George with Kawhi are going to win with the Clippers either?
No.
Essentially, that's what they're trying to do either way.
Because they're not even the best team in LA.
Fair enough. But that's what
They're
they're
not
trying
even
to
the
do.
third. They're not even the second best team in California.
Debatable. Clay fucking fucked up a little bit with this tournament.
He did.
Or whatever he has.
But I think that team is still kind of dangerous.
Oh, I think they're a really good team. I could still see the Clippers be better than them. But that's kind of what they did, right? Giannis locked them up, so they're trying to build with Giannis. Paul George locked them up, kind of the same thing to try to make something happen with Kawhi. But
well, one of the biggest problems for the Clippers is that they did lose one of their most important pieces in Montrezl Harrell to the Lakers.
To the Lakers, yeah.
Right? I mean, he was one of their biggest off-the-bench scoring options. He was the second highest scoring player off the bench or something like that. It was like 18 a game. Something like that. That's huge. You got to fill that space, and they don't have someone at this point that's going to fill that. Someone will have to, but they're not going to probably score 18 off the bench like Montrezl Harrell. So
I agree.
Now we're going to need even more from Kawhi and Paul George.
Fair enough.
I don't know, man. Lakers got better, Clippers got worse, and the Warriors. Without Clay, I think they're still better than the Clippers, but they're not. They're probably not better than the Lakers.
No, I don't think anybody's better than the Lakers right now.
Yeah,
I think the Lakers are the best team right now in the NBA.
I think. Just thinking about their roster, I think they're by far better than every other team.
Yeah, they just came from winning a championship and got better. So
yeah, it got quite a bit better.
So that's where I'm like, I think they're by far the best team.
I think one of the things that you could have argued about the Lakers is that their bench rotation, they had a good bench, but their bench rotation wasn't the most amazing thing I've ever seen.
Yep.
Especially from a scoring perspective, Kyle Kuzma was the best scorer they had off the bench, arguably. I don't know.
I guess Kuzma.
Yeah. Dennis Schroeder, much better scorer off the bench. Montrezl Harrell, great scorer off the bench. Now they're going to have scoring out there all the time. Montrezl is a pretty good defender.
Yep.
Same with Dennis Schroeder, pretty good defender. They've got a lot of their good defensive pieces are still there. They lost JaVale and Dwight, who were rim protectors, but you still have Montrezl Harrell. And then, of course, Anthony Davis, who's a perennial in the conversation for Defensive Player of the Year. So, it's not
number
there's
2
worse
in
things.
MVP odds right now.
Yes.
LeBron is slightly behind him at third.
Yeah. What is it? Giannis?
Nope.
KD?
Nope.
See, who's number 1?
Luka. Luka Doncic.
I remember seeing it today.
Yeah, he actually has a pretty big gap between 2 and 3, but yeah.
Yeah, he was like 30-something%.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
I could see it. If he develops how he's been from first year to second year into the third year, dude's gonna pop off.
Well, yeah, no shit. If he keeps developing at this rate, he's gonna be the greatest player of all time by year 3.
Nah, not by year 3.
Year 4.
Nah.
5.
Nah.
6.
He wouldn't have won 7 championships by then.
Not 1.
Not 2.
Not 3.
Not 3. He has to win at least
not 4.
In the 3 to 5 range at least to be in that.
Yes, he does.
You don't win at least 3 championships, you can't be in the conversation.
You'll be a Charles Barkley.
Charles Barkley. Fair enough. I don't think Charles Barkley is a top 10 player though, all time.
No.
pretty much every top 10 player has won at least 2 to 3. At least 2, 3.
Yeah.
Like if you go MJ 1, he had 6. If you go LeBron, he has 4. If you go Magic, he had 5, I think.
Yep.
Larry had 5 or 4. Kobe had 5. Larry didn't have 3?
I think so.
Okay. Kobe had
I'll Google
5. Shaq had 4. Tim Duncan had 5. Who else we got? I think I just said like 10 players. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
He had 3.
Okay, 3. He's probably the lowest with 3.
Fuck, I'm good.
He had like 5 MVPs or some shit.
Some people put Bill Russell in the top 10.
Okay, he had 11.
He had 11.
Like, great. Kareem had 6.
Larry Bird would be 6'9". Nice. Yes, you need championships.
Yeah.
It's a qualifier to get into the GOAT club.
Yeah. So
I'd say top 10 is a GOAT club.
I would say so. Yeah.
Yeah. So without them, you're just not in it.
If you are,
you can be close.
Yeah, you could be close. I mean, I'm not saying Charles Barkley is a bad all-time player, but he's not in my top 10.
I guess Karl Malone would be one that some people might have in the top 10.
Nope, don't have him in the top 10.
I know you don't. So I said some people.
Nope. Elijah one only had 2.
Yes.
Which could be like lesser than him, but. Anyways, what we're saying is if Luka develops how he's been developing, yeah, in 6 years he'll be putting up 158 points, like and 80 rebounds and 35 assists or some stupid shit like that, and you're like, well, yeah, this guy is probably the best of all time.
Yeah, no shit. If you're putting up 100 a game, you'd be the best.
Yeah,
pretty quick.
But yeah. Anyways,
well, before we get too long-winded, any other hot topics?
Hot topics. I haven't been to that store in a while.
Yeah, same.
Is that shit still a thing?
I don't know.
I don't go to malls anymore. I never really went to malls, but I kind of did.
Spencer's is better anyway.
Hot topics.
Who's your MVP NFL?
Oh, should I make a hot take or should I just go with everybody's?
Just give me what you got.
Bruh, Aaron Rodgers is putting up 41 overall touchdowns. It's 39 passing. I really 39 passing, 2 rushing. So 41 touchdowns. But 39 passing touchdowns and 4 picks.
It's pretty good.
It's almost a 10-to-1 touchdown interception ratio.
Yeah, I mean...
Fuck.
Fuck. Patrick Mahomes throwing 3 picks in a game really fucked him
Really held him back.
Because he had 2...
All year.
31 touchdowns, 2 picks.
2 picks. He was doing over 15
and then
to 1.
Was 33 and 5.
And now it's about 6.5.
Yeah, quite a bit different.
Mahomes has about 600 more pass yards. Nobody's even talking about Russell Wilson, dude. What the fuck happened?
Team success.
Like, he was supposed to be the next coming of fucking Jesus or some crap. Like, first 5 games, like, this dude will be MVP. Everybody, like, it was all, this was the thing, and now it's going to happen. Oh, this dude's never gotten an MVP vote, but this guy's been the MVP for his team for 10 years. He's not going to get an MVP vote. Guaranteed. Mahomes will get most of them. Rodgers will get a lot of them. And then Josh Allen would get more than fucking Russell Wilson.
True.
And fucking Kyler might get a vote for some reason.
Tom Brady will probably get a
Tom Brady's in. Yeah, they're going to overlook Russ again.
Yep.
Again. But, I'd probably
totally biased.
Probably go with Mahomes just because, well, I'm not, I'm going to go with the hot take. I'm going to go with Rodgers. He's not going to win it because, like we've probably said before, like, LeBron is arguably the MVP every year. Every year. And Mahomes, as he's shown in the past 2-3 years, could probably win MVP every year if he wanted to. He just puts up stats. Very good. Rodgers, though, only has Devontae Adams compared to all the weapons that Mahomes has.
That was the point I was going to bring up, is there is a difference in firepower between the two teams. If you swap the two of them, Patrick Mahomes is going to have a much more difficult time.
Yes.
Aaron Rodgers would be it'd be most likely an all-time season.
Yes. If Aaron Rodgers was
year in and year out
on the Chiefs, yes. he'd have 50 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Every year. To like 3 picks.
Not that I think that necessarily that. Well, I guess straight up what we're saying is that he is better than Patrick Mahomes.
Yes.
Is what that would be.
But the thing is, like,
at least early in Patrick Mahomes' career.
Yes, that's the thing.
You gain experience and things like that Patrick Mahomes just doesn't have. Aaron Rodgers has it. And also, I don't. The other thing too is like, it feels dirty, like shitting on Patrick Mahomes a little bit, but like,
gotta be realistic with it. Come on.
you have to. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers is one of the best QBs of all time.
Yes.
In some people's mind, the best QB of all time.
Fair enough.
And by some metrics.
Yeah, by some, like, his touchdown to interception ratio is absurd. Yes.
Just all time.
Yes.
You know, you look at Drew Brees, right? Same thing with completion percentage.
Yep. Absurd.
Right. Aaron Rodgers is a GOAT in his own right.
Yep.
And so saying that he's better with all that years of experience and the abilities that he has, and that he probably would be better than Patrick Mahomes on his own team, isn't that outlandish.
No.
Right. And yeah, Aaron Rodgers has way less to work with.
Yes. That is.
Granted, I do think Devontae Adams might be the best receiver in football right now.
Oh, you don't think Cheetah is?
No.
Cheetah, bruh.
Cheetah's really good.
I think he has 2 or 3 more touchdowns than Devontae right now.
You heard me?
With the stacked offense, with all weapons around him.
Yeah, which makes it easier.
What?
Yeah.
It would make it easier for Devontae Adams because he's the only weapon.
No, but he's also the focus of the defense.
Devontae Adams?
Yes.
Fair enough.
Right, you got to cover Kelsey. You got to cover Sammy Watkins, I guess. Do you? I don't know.
McCole
Hardman. All those
Clyde
weapons.
Edwards-Helaire.
Clyde. There you go. You got to cover all of them. Whereas, in Lazard.
Fair enough.
You got to worry about Lazard.
Got to worry about Robert Tonyan, dude.
Yeah, Tanyan would be the other one. But neither of those are better than the options that were presented on the other side. But
I don't know. Robert Tanyan's pretty good.
Anyway, that's all we have time for this week.
Yep.
Thanks
to the live audience listening in. Appreciate it.
A rousing round of applause from our live audience.
Live audience, thank you very much.
You can't hear them because our mics are just really sensitive.
It's deafening how it's like so loud they can't interpret it.
Yep,
it's deafening.
That's what it is. This has been Totally Biased.
Catch us on Sunday for a special edition.
Yep, special edition selection show Sunday. Who knows what's going to happen? You'll be in the dark.
Maybe we're at the ESPN Top 25 presentation.
Yeah, maybe we'll be presenting it.
Yeah,
maybe it will be
on this podcast.
Maybe.
They want to give us that shit.
No.